Hey everybody. Hey, it's Cree. Hopping on here like I said I would. Let me see. It's October 14th, 7 p.m. So here we go. I'm super excited to finally be doing this. It's been in the making for quite a bit. I've actually been preparing for this for probably more than a year, and maybe I just didn't know it. But God had told me to get on this platform and tell my story. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And with telling my story, I'm hoping that it helps others be able to tell their story because we all have a story to tell, no matter who we are. And honestly, we should not be ashamed of that. I believe that we all did a little bit more of talking about things and the things we've been through, and other people can learn from those or either, relate because we all have been through similar things. I think it would be helpful. And I like to also call that a testimony. God, put things on us, and sometimes we don't understand it until way later, but it's always a plan and a purpose for it. One of the Before I get started with everything, it's a verse that's really been showing up lately, and I wanted to share it. Is Jeremiah 29:11, and it goes, "For I have plans for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future." Now, that really rings loud for me because I really think, and I know honestly from this point, is that God has a purpose for all of us. And sometimes, hey Patrice, how are you? And sometimes we try to go through life doing things the way we want to do them, and it can be so hard. But once you realize that God got you, and if you just ask him, pray to him and say, God, what's your plan for my life? What's your purpose for me? And you will see that things will start to fall in place once you start to pay attention and actually do those things that he asked you to do. And that's pretty much where I am. It's been a long journey, with just different things over time, and also, just getting to this point. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for being here. I'm glad I can see when people comment because I wasn't sure how this was going to go because I've never done a live, not on YouTube anyway, but it seems to be very similar to the other platforms. But thanks for being here. So yeah, so now I just want to tell a little bit about myself. For the people who may not know, my name is Lucretia. Everybody calls me Cree. Most people know me from my salon business, Creations by Cree, um, which I have been running since 2016. I specialize in natural hair and braids. So if anybody is interested, you can go on Instagram and follow me at Creations by Cree 15. I am currently still active in doing hair and still accepting new clients. So if you're interested, definitely make an appointment. Come get some of this Cree time. But yes, so I am running this business. I am 43 years old. I have a husband of 16 years. We have 4 children, all grown in teenage years, whatever. So lately I've been working on trying to, get to doing things more about me because being a mom, being a wife, you can kind of get lost in your everyday shuffle, being a business owner. But I've learned to cultivate doing things for myself now, really in the form of self love. So, and that's not always the easiest thing to do, but we do it, we learn, it's a process. And I also want to thank everyone who's been so supportive of me, that's been encouraging me to do this, to finally go ahead and do the lives and build this platform. And so that includes my family, friends, close friends, my clients, and everyone that's on social media that has subscribed to my channel or just follow me on any of my social sites. I really appreciate it. And last but not least, I'd like to thank God because without him, there would be no me. And definitely, I know that I'm only here because of his grace and his blessings. So thank you. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking about a lot of when I get on here. Do these lives is going to be my 4 pillars, and the first one is faith. And I equate faith, like we all have to have faith in living this life we live today. Without faith, I don't think anything is really possible, because you would just not do anything. Faith is very important because it allows us to continue even if we feel like things are a little hard or not going the way we want them to go. And full faith is just trusting God in everything. Second would be love and self-love. Um, Nothing is greater than God's love for us, or the love we have for self. So many of us don't practice self-love, or we have not understood what that is. And it's very important. In order to love someone else, you definitely have to love yourself a certain way. And once you get to that point of love and knowing how to love yourself as well, life is just so much better. Your relationships become better, and it's just from experience. And then last but not least is joy. One thing that I've been doing is that anything that I would like to do that brings me joy, because I feel like once you have joy in your life, um, nobody can steal that from you. Like, it's just a place that you would like to be and should be at all times, and you should be doing the things that bring you joy at all times. And actually, it's not the last one. The last one would be peace. One thing I found out that once you receive peace in your life, it's nothing or no one that can steal that from you, your joy or your peace. Once you have full peace in your life, I feel like it's a type of freedom, and mainly from fear, because fear, to be honest, stops us a lot from being able to do a lot of things that we would like to do. Fear gets in our heads, and we just be like, no, you talk yourself out of so many things, and fear is not of God. He told us, fear not. And if he's with us, then who should we fear? Like, no one, nobody, nothing. Okay. So my live today pretty much is going to be speaking on the topic of, which I have been putting out there for a while now. With my flyers, I'm sure you all have seen it. Conversations with Cree. This is what this platform is for. We will be having lots of conversations about different things, mainly just life and how to cultivate self-love, the love for God. But this particular live is about my secret pregnancy at 14, and how fear, silence, and healing shaped my life. So yeah, I know some people know about this secret pregnancy, or that I was pregnant at a very young age, because I've talked to them about it. This is something that I did not talk about for a very long time. If you think about it, 14 years old, that's very young. And once the situation ended, I just kind of, went on with my life. Thanks to God that I survived it, not just physically, but mentally. Me, being 43 years old, I think in my 40s is when I've really been doing a lot of self-healing, and I've done therapy, and I've really been dealing with a lot of traumas from the past, because a lot of us do have, it's called childhood trauma, and we don't like to talk about it sometimes, but we all pretty much have been through some things, and it carries over into our lives currently. And sometimes we react in ways that they're not okay, and sometimes we just don't understand where it's coming from. But a lot of it has to do with traumas in our life, and sometimes when you work through those, you talk about those things, and kind of find healing, then things are so much better. You're able to move forward and understand why you are triggered by certain things, why when people say certain things to you, it just makes you feel a certain way. But it's very important. So me actually talking about this topic actually began more when I was doing clients' hair, and we would talk about things, and I would share with them, about this particular situation, and they would just say, wow, that's a lot to deal with at such a young age. And to be honest, up until somebody told me that, I never looked at it like that, because I felt like I survived it and I was okay. I had made it this far, so it wasn't a big deal. And people go through things. But God put it on my heart to share this story because it could help someone else, that may be going through the same thing currently. And not just the secret pregnancy, but just secrets in your life, things that you're holding on to or not talking about because you are afraid it may hurt somebody else's feelings, but it's hurting you every day that you don't release. And the more you release, the more you heal. And when you heal, others around you heal. So the first thing I want to talk about is within that subject, was losing my virginity at 14. Who knew that would result in a pregnancy? I didn't. I mean, honestly, I'm sure a lot of us, going into that aspect of our lives, we probably were younger than we should have been exploring. But hey, that's life. Kids gonna be kids. They're gonna be curious. And my thing was, I never planned up until that point that I was gonna lose my virginity that day. It just happened that way. And I honestly believe that I was not educated enough from my mother or for anybody that was in my life to tell me or talk to me about what sex really was. And all I used to get was just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, why? And they were just like, you just don't do it. But never no education on why not to. So obviously, doing those things could result in a pregnancy. And I knew that part of it, but obviously, in the moment you don't think. Being young, getting advice from people your age, it just doesn't go well. So, when I decided to have sex for the first time, I did not use protection. And nobody ever really talked to me about it. So it was nothing I was aware of, but that it was drilled enough in my head for me to request that. So once that happened and the event was over, I just really deeply believe, like, goodness, you have sex and then what can result from that is pregnancy. And I really, in that moment, right after, really believed I was pregnant. And obviously I couldn't have known that at the moment, but it was something that was really deep within inside me that I felt like, was the case. So, that was over the summer. I actually was away from home, visiting family during the summer when that incident happened. And I went back home, and lo and behold, I definitely was pregnant. But honestly, I never went to the doctor. I never took a physical pregnancy test because I was just so terrified to tell my mom, what happened or what I thought was happening. So much stress, so much fear. And the fear came from my mom being a very stern woman and basically telling me, if you become pregnant, you can't stay here anymore. You cannot be here. So my thoughts were, I don't want to leave home. I was 14 years old. I can't go get a job. What am I going to do? So a lot of it was fear driven. Like, I can't tell her. I can't tell nobody because I didn't trust anyone not to tell her. So I had an older sister. I definitely could have probably talked to about it and got help. And maybe some other women in my life, but nothing was bigger than the fear of her finding out because first of all, there's a lot of shame that goes with that. But number one was fear. Um, so how did I navigate keeping such a big secret from my mom? Honestly, guys, like, that was so hard for me because, like I said, every day I woke up knowing that my body was not right, that what was going on wasn't right. I didn't know what to do, so I just went through the motions. Definitely was dealing with all the symptoms of pregnancy, but I was in denial for the first couple months, I want to say. I had morning sickness, all the above. And back then, we used to wear really baggy clothes, so, I could hide how my body was changing at that time from my mom. And so I did. I did everything that you could to hide. Like, never letting her see me naked, um, faking my period, and just making sure she, in my eyes, didn't know what was going on. Um, so I believe I was pregnant for quite a while because I think I became pregnant in August and I Didn't have the miscarriage until maybe February the following year. So I was pretty far along, to the point where I was feeling the baby move. I had came to the conclusion that, this is gonna be reality. I'm gonna have a baby. I'm gonna have to figure this out, but still too scared to have a conversation with my mother. And every day I seen her, I definitely wanted to go say, Mom, I have something to tell you. And truth be told, I don't think that she didn't know the whole time, honestly. But I'll get back to that part. I'll get back to that part. Because I think mothers know. They can, it's a sense that, they can look at their daughters or they, whatever, their child, they know. But I think she was in a sense of denial as well. Because, I mean, who wants to face the fact that their child is going to be a mom or is possibly carrying a baby? That's not something I want to deal with once I had kids. But further down the line, God gets all the glory. And I said that before because I actually did have a miscarriage, and it was, and like I said, I was pretty far along, to the point where from a Friday to a Sunday, I was in the bed. I could not move. I told my mom it was just bad cramps, but I definitely was having a full miscarriage. And then on a Sunday of that 2 days that I was just in the bed and just not feeling well is when the miscarriage occurred. Um, I had it in the bathroom, and I never, yeah, they be knowing everything, Patrice. They know. I know that as a mother now. Like back then, I ain't know no better. But definitely, it happened. My emotions is all over the place. I didn't know what to think, what to do. Thank God I wasn't bleeding heavy. I didn't have any complications after that point. Because the very next day, I went to school like nothing happened. And the only people who knew of my pregnancy, because I told you all, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell any adults. I'm gonna say that. But it was a friend group that I had at school, and they knew. Those are the only people I told. So when I came back to school that Monday and I told them what happened, they were just like, you didn't go to the doctor, you didn't go to the hospital. I'm like, no. I'm like, still can't tell my mom about this because I hadn't told her in all this time. And so I didn't. I just went on like nothing had happened. Further down the line, back to what I was talking about, my mom knew. She actually took me 2 weeks later to the doctor to have a pregnancy test done. And I was just like, she definitely knew, but she just was kind of hesitant to find out. But she had me tested, and of course the test came back negative because it had been 2 weeks, and that was enough time for all the hormones and things to get out of my system. But I was just like, ooh, that was close, because she definitely would have found out if I had still been pregnant for sure. And I think I would have been ready to just admit it at that point, because, I mean, every day dealing with that type of thing as a child, trying to process that and not having an outlet, like that is a lot to deal with. And I don't think I ever really realized that until later, as an adult, as I started to talk about it again and hearing people feedback, and especially my therapist. And she was like, that was a traumatic thing for you to go through as a child. And I'm like, yeah, I guess it was, but I never looked at it like that, because at the time it was just something I went through. And life goes on. And when you have had certain situations happen and over again through your life, you deal with it, and then once make it through, it's over. You know what I'm saying? You don't really think about it anymore. So honestly, with that big secret, I never told my mom or had the courage to tell her until maybe a couple years ago about the whole incident. I had went on like a spiritual retreat, and I had did some um, you know, self searching, thinking about things from my past and what it really meant to me and how that was affecting me. And I came to the conclusion that at this point, um, I had to tell her. And it wasn't even for her, it was for me and for my healing, because that was something I had been holding on to for such a long time. And it was not helping me heal, it was not helping me be okay. And through all those years, I held on to it for so long because I was thinking from her perspective, as a mother perspective, like, what if, I tell my mom this and this hurts her so bad because I didn't tell her, or, how is she going to feel? But at that point, I had to pick me. So I definitely did have the conversation. Patrice, it was 8th grade, actually. It happened in 8th grade. So, um, yeah, so, I actually had the conversation with her about 2 years ago. And it actually went very well. It went very well. And honestly, it was so far back. Like, my mom has no recollection of that time. And she really doesn't remember, the things. And I tried to tell her some things like, you knew because you said this, and she don't remember. And that's fine. But it just was healing for me to be able to finally get that off of me and tell her, hey, this is what was going on, this is what happened. And the first thing she asked me was, what happened to the baby? You had an abortion? And I'm like, no. And she was like, well, what happened? And I told her, and she was like, did you go to the doctor? Did you go to the hospital? I'm like, no, mom. I'm like, I didn't actually. And she was like, well, thank God that you were okay. And I'm like, right, thank God, because anytime I tell anyone that story and let them know I never received any medical care following the miscarriage, people are like, that's crazy because, you could have got an infection, you could have bled to death, it was a lot of things that could have happened. But not only was I saved and I had no complications, I was able to have kids later. So I'm so thankful for that, because that could have been a result of not getting any care, was that I wasn't able to have children. But God is so good and he's so faithful, and I just thank him every day. And like I said, releasing that secret has really helped me heal. And that's part of what I want to talk to everyone about, is that sometimes we need to release things and heal. And that's going to help us heal from things we're dealing with, we're holding on to. Because that's not doing anything but hurting us as we go on, with our lives. Practicing, learning self-love, learning who you are as a person, and then doing the things that make you happy. Not that you're going to harm anybody with doing these things, but just being happy in your life, because so many of us are happy in this lifetime. We're walking around angry, sad all the time, when it's just as simple as positive thoughts and prayer, and just really going out and doing things that you want to do, but also getting the help for things that you may have going on. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with therapy. It's nothing wrong with, talking to people, or just doing self-care for yourself, setting boundaries with family, with friends, or cutting people out of your life that no longer serves you, people, places, and things. Um, so I'm getting on here probably once every Monday to talk about different topics. This just was the first one. And the main thing that this also helped me with, and I learned from it, was that, God blessed me with 3 daughters. And what that allowed me to do was um, breaking the generational cycles with my girls. Like, I made sure that we talked about things um, before they, decided to go and have sexual relationships. I talked to them. I gave them the real, I gave them the info about, protection, about pregnancy, about, my story. I talked to them about what happened with me, because I did not want that for them. And thank goodness, so far, so good, like no pregnancies at all. So I want to believe that me sharing these things with them, and also being open and honest, help them to navigate that part of their lives, and that they listen to what I had to say, because it definitely could have been a repeat um, of that cycle. So yeah, and now that I think about things, back to that time, I really don't know, because I never did get prenatal care, if I had went through with delivering the baby, made it to term, if the baby would have been okay, because I got no care at all. And I don't think I was moving along in the pregnancy like I should have been. Because when I had the miscarriage, I felt like I should have been so far, so much further in my pregnancy than I probably was at that time. So God, he has a plan, and things happen how they're supposed to, because even the father of the child, I think, ended up getting killed maybe 2 years later, if that long, and so I would have been left with a child without a father. So I mean, God, He does not make any mistakes, and things happen how they supposed to. And I think on our path in this life, we need to definitely look at these things that God has brought us through and see what the purpose was, because it's always a lesson to learn. And if you learn that lesson, then hey, as long as you don't repeat it, don't keep repeating these things. But I'm not gonna stay on here long. I just wanted to get on here to tell a little bit of this story, and obviously it's gonna be more lives about this, um, more when it comes to like how when you have secrets or you carry these secrets from a young age, how that reflects in your life moving forward as an adult. How keeping those secrets or being fearful made me move through life, and how that caused me to be, and how my relationships were. And growing up and into teenage years, into adulthood. Because it does, affect it. It does. It really do affect us. Um, so yeah. I also have an Instagram page that's dedicated to Conversations with Cree on Instagram. It's Conversations with Cree. If you search Conversations with Cree, it will come up. But it's also under Cree Time Social. And I know a lot of you are on there following. And I'm so grateful for you all and your support once again. You did good. Oh, thanks, Patrice. This is something that's new for me. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and God has definitely put on my heart to do so. It's not an easy thing to do. I don't particularly feel comfortable going live or putting myself in front of the camera to say these things or to share these things, but it's something that I really feel like will help somebody else. And if it just helped one person, then I've done my job. But it's so many different things that I'm going to be talking about. It's going to get to a point where I'm going to ask every week people's feedback, and maybe even things that you all would like to talk about. Because obviously I'm here to help anyone. Um, and I'm just so excited to finally, be on here and doing the work, telling my story. And I see it's not many on here, but that's okay. I'm going to the reason I did live from YouTube was so it can be reposted. So this video was saved, and I actually would definitely um be sharing it so people can, rewatch when they get a chance. But this is just the beginning, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to get on up off of here, and I just want to say thank you again for everybody who's supporting me. Thanks, Patrice, for interacting with me, asking questions. I love that. And I will see you all very soon. Have a good evening. Bye.